Welcome, everybody. I am calling to order this Board of Education meeting. It is March 24th, 2025. We're in the Nashua North Boardroom, and it is 6:04 p.m. Ms. Lampier, can you do the roll call, if you're feeling okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better. Okay, so Ms. Darling is not here. I am here. Ms. Raymond is out sick. Ms. Bryn?
Here.
Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Daniels-Williams?
Here.
Ms. Giglio?
Here.
And Ms. Bishop?
Here.
Okay, and we also have Dr. Andre, we don't have Dr. Andre, sorry, that's force of habit. We have Mr. Posca, Mr. Gray, and Dr. Scarpati. And our student reps haven't arrived yet. So that's the,
Excellent. After you do we don't have it on, the opening statement, Ms. Daniels-Williams, will you lead us in the pledge?
Okay, so as elected officials, we have the high honor and the serious duty of managing the educational institutions of our beloved city. In our common endeavors, may we find a spirit of unity and understanding which will enable us to face our multiple problems with an objective mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens.
Okay, so we have a pretty straightforward agenda today. We don't have any recognitions or presentations, so I'm going to jump right into looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Claffey.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Giglio. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's bump on down to our first public question comment period. Ms. Pryn, you get to be the new lackey.
Which color?
It should say first and second on the top. I don't know how they're color coded. Thank you so much. Remember, first public comment period is in regards to items on the agenda. Mr. Hoffman, come on down.
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street, Townhouse D, Nashua, New Hampshire. First item I'd like to speak on tonight is in the Human Resources agenda. I just want to say that I am pleased that the HR committee gave a unanimous vote for Jeffrey Arbogast, who was just nominated the principal of Fairgrounds Middle School. I urge that his nomination be approved by unanimous vote of the full board. I've had the pleasure of working under Jeff Arbogast for many years at Fairgrounds Middle School, and I can tell you firsthand that he has the staff's support. He's one of those people. He's not a man of a lot of words. He's a person of action. You can always count on him. He's very, very dependable. He's honest. He's one of those people, they don't make people like Jeff Arbogast anymore. So you got a really good one. So that's the first thing. The second is just, just a word of caution. Tonight on the Committee on Finance and Operations, there's about $1.2 million of appropriations that are recommended. I know that the budget for next year is very tight, and you have, a few agendas coming up, more appropriations that might be there, and it might be the time to really carefully look at some of these appropriations, and maybe, a discussion could be had with the city that we could maybe defer a couple of these items and give it back as tax relief for this year in exchange for perhaps a higher increase in next year's budget. It's just an idea, where you have appropriations. I know that some of these probably are necessary, some might not be necessary, that it's something to consider, in the next couple of months, that maybe you could have a conversation with the city about some of these expenses and perhaps if we don't spend them, make a deal, you give them back as tax relief to the taxpayers, and then we get maybe a bigger increase for next year so that we can avoid some potentially catastrophic reduction in force. So thank you.
Thank you. This brings us up to our superintendent's comments. I know Mr. Pasca is filling in for Dr. Andre tonight. I don't know if you have anything prepared, but if you do, the floor is yours.
I do not have anything prepared at this time. I will comment regarding Mr. Rob Guest when we get to HR.
Okay. You can say whatever you want right now, though. All right. We have no student members right now. They're probably out having fun, as children should. Budget is, our next committee on budget is March 31st. We're going to be having our question and answer period with administration for us. And then we'll have our public comment and hearing period on April 2nd. And then we're going to be coming back on April 3rd so we can digest what we've heard and make a vote on the 3rd. So that is the update on committee. And now I will hand it over to Mr. Claffey for finance and operations. So the floor is yours.
Right, Ms. Lamprey was under the weather, so I believe it was Monday, last week we met as a committee. The items are in front of you, and if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to our COO, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. So just, I guess, a couple of high-level overviews. So first bullet point on the agenda was to go ahead and make a recommendation to purchase 101 Clear Touch interactive panels for Title I elementary support. As I mentioned last week on Tuesday during finance and operations, this is money that has to be used during this school year. So I understand the concern from the public comment standpoint, as well as we had some conversation at finance and ops. Unfortunately, this item and a few items on the finance and operations agenda is not funds that we could go ahead and roll over for next year or utilize for any positions, transportation, et cetera. So the recommendation was to go ahead and purchase Clear Touch panels for the Title I elementary schools. So I guess before I go down to the next bullet point, anything else that you wanted to discuss related to bullet point number 1, Clear Touch panels?
We just got to make the motion.
I just want to ask one question. When the meeting started, I thought we should know that voting no on any of these items would not save a single job. Is that reasonable to say?
Yep, so let's just run through them line by line. So that is correct holistically. So the first one is coming out of a title grant. Again, it's Title I. Funds need to be used by this fiscal year. The second recommendation from Mr. Smith and his team is to go ahead and purchase vehicles out of the SURF fund, which is the City Capital Equipment Reserve. The third item on the list is to go ahead and purchase or do some maintenance out of deferred maintenance. Again, you can kind of see a theme here. Each project is specific to some of the accounts that we can't necessarily just transfer over into wages or transportation or other budgeted areas. There was a recommendation to go ahead and use a consulting firm to bid out the work related to some roof repairs. There is a capital master plan that the city of Nashua has supported. We came in a little bit under budget. And then that last item there, again, another grant funding transfer on the report. So to answer your question, unfortunately, no, we cannot take these funds and either hold them for next year or transfer them to save on some potential reductions next year.
So can I make the first motion?
Yes, please.
Recommendation. I have a recommendation to purchase 101 Clear Touch interactive panels for Title I elementary support from Pro AV for an amount not to exceed $344,309. Cost to be divided between the Title I accounts listed in the table provided.
Second.
Thank
Any
you.
comments or questions?
I just want to add some clarity, if that's okay.
Go ahead,
So
please.
there was a conversation related to the Clear Touch panels as far as some equity in the support throughout the elementary schools, right? So as we can see, some of the Title I schools are receiving the Clear Touch interactive panels, where some of our non-title elementary schools unfortunately don't have them at this point. There was a recommendation through the budget process to potentially go ahead and purchase some of those for fiscal year '26. So we'll discuss that more probably next week. But I just wanted, in case folks were asking, or just get some clarity out there related to the Clear Touch panels and making sure there's some equity within our elementary schools.
Mr. Johnson?
As far as Clear Touch panels, how many do we currently have in the school?
That is a wonderful question. So we have some kind of sporadic throughout the high schools. The majority of them are sitting currently right now at your middle schools because of the construction projects and the new middle school. And then I think most folks heard that there was a pretty substantial donation that was given to Charlotte Ave throughout their PTO. So Charlotte Ave does have quite a bit of touch panels. I could get an exact figure for next week's meeting if you'd like.
Thank you.
Any other Ms. Lampier?
I was just hoping you could address the carryover funds and why this money couldn't have been used for the Title I preschool that we had to end that program last year.
Yep, I forgot about that point, so thank you, I apologize. So this money that is being used to go ahead and purchase these touch panels is actually what we consider carryover funds. So at the end of every grant cycle, every single school district within the state, whatever that money has yet to be spent, goes back into basically a pool of money, and then the state goes ahead and does a distribution to each of the school districts. It's considered what we call carryover money. So on a 3-year cycle, you can go ahead and either take a percentage of carryover or you can take 100%. If you elect to take that carryover, which every school district usually does, if you elect to take that carryover, you have to utilize it by the end of that grant cycle, and then also in what we consider a period of performance. So that money does have to be used by the end of this grant cycle. So unfortunately, we could not utilize those funds, or we couldn't anticipate that those funds were going to come in order to support the program.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Claffey?
Do I call for the vote?
I thought you were putting your light on because you had a...
No, I was getting ready to vote.
Oh, okay. All right. I want to thank you for going over that so well, Ms. DeGray. Ms. DeJoy, why do I keep calling you Ms. DeGray? No. Yeah. See, I did it wrong once, and now I have it in my head that I say it wrong every time, so when I say it right,
Don't
I
say
still think I'm
DeJoy
wrong.
ever in this, please.
I'm sorry.
DeGray's good, DeJoy.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, boy, guys. Okay, but yes, thank you very much for going over that with us. I think understanding where the monies come from, especially in this budget cycle that we've been talking about, understanding where the money comes from and what buckets it's allowed to go into is really important for us to understand as a board, but also as a community. So I appreciate that. Looking for a vote. All those in favor of approving the purchase of 101 Clear Touch interactive panels, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Back to you.
I have a recommendation to purchase 2 electric 2025 Ford Transit vans from Grapponi Ford to be paid for with city capital equipment reserve funds, SURF, for a total of $136,966.
Second motion. Thank you, Ms. Daniels-Williams. Comments or questions? I feel like we reviewed this. Okay. All those in favor of purchasing the 2 electric 2025 Ford Transit vans, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation to approve a not-to-exceed figure of $340,000 to conduct the paving as described with DPW's contractor. Funding will be from the school district's deferred maintenance account.
Second motion. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. I think you guys covered it in the meeting, but it's helpful to know that the reason that this price is so low is because they're already doing the first half, right? The first half of the street, and we're able to just kind of like tack on, right?
That is correct. Yep. And Mr. Smith is here if there's more specific questions that we have related to the plant operations and the purchases, but that is correct. There is a portion that the city is doing, and then we're picking up a portion of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just keep thinking, you know how those guys go around in the spring and summer, like, oh, your neighbor's getting your driveway sealed. We've got extra. You want some? I feel like this is the same kind of thing. All right. Mr. Claffey made the motion. Ms. Daniels Williams seconded it. Do we have any other comments or questions? Ms. Gilio?
It just really needs to be done.
It does. It does. I feel like I'm playing ping, what is the pinball? Only my car is the ball. It's going into the holes. It makes sense in my head. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the contract for paving as described with DPW's contractor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, we have a recommendation to approve a contract with ARM Consulting to bid out roof repair work at Amherst Street Elementary, NHS North, NHS South, and provide construction administration for the same in the amount of $6,635.20. Funding will be from the school district's deferred maintenance account.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Claffey. Thank you, Ms. Prin. Any comments or questions about this?
I think just to clarify from the Finance and Operations meeting, this is truly the bid for the work. This is not to have work done to repair the roofs. So it's $6,000, $6,635.20. It's not to have roof repairs. I wish we could get roofs repaired for about $6,000. But I think there was a question that did come up at Finance and Ops.
Yep. Okay. Well, is this money like a deposit? It gets rolled into what the roof cost will actually be, or is it something, it's just a separate standing fee? Okay. Mr.
yeah.
Smith's back there shaking his head, so.
Yeah, it's just a fee so that they can basically assess the roofs and then give us a recommendation on to basically outbid those roofs of how much they truly will cost.
Is this different than the roof assessment that we had done was it last year?
I'm gonna have Mr. Smith come up
Okay.
and give you some more details. How's that?
It's a very detailed question. It's probably just no. Bless you.
Good evening. So this contract is for the people that do the design work. They are then going to bid out the work, and probably at our next finance and operations, we'll hopefully have the bids ready to go. Next Board of Ed meeting after that, you'll approve that work. I'm expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 total for the 3 schools, but we won't know for sure till we bid it out.
But is this different than the roofing evaluation that we had? Or,
This is the company that did the evaluation, so they've already completed the assessments.
yeah,
And so then they will take those assessments, bid out the work, and come back to us for approval.
okay. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that it was not what I was thinking it was.
Now, there'll be a separate company that actually does the work.
Okay. Ms. Daniels Williams?
And I think that was part of my question on when we had the F&O meeting. Was this part of the one that we're putting out for bid or expecting from the city to do? But this isn't that one. This is the one that will add to that one. Is that correct? Can you explain that again? You told me that, you explained it to me in a way that meant that it's okay to do this one because it will just give us the information a little bit earlier for the one that we're putting out for all the schools.
So last fall, you approved a contract with this company to go out and do the roof assessments. We had one previous to that did assessments at 5 elementary schools. We then did the same thing. We had this company bid it out, approved the bids, and are in the process of doing that repair work. So this is exactly the same process. They've completed the assessment, and they will do the bidding for us, come back to us with the bid amounts, and we will approve it. Really has nothing to do with the city or working with the city. That was with the paving work. That was strictly with the Public Works Department.
So just to come back, nothing to do with the facility master plan that's gonna look at all the buildings? Because I think that when we talked about it and I brought it up, it's been almost a week, Tuesday, Tuesday would make a week. But I think that you said that this is good to go ahead and do also because it adds to that facility plan. Like, they can run in tandem. Can you speak to that?
Yes, so before I get into that, we need to do this work, or else we're going to be wiping the drops off the papers and the computers of the students in the schools. We've had some issues at all 3 schools. You're talking about the facility master plan, which is going to be coming up shortly. Any study that we do, any work we have a sub do that does assessments is going to feed into that facility master plan. So when the successful contractor for the master plan puts forth a report, it's probably going to have as addendums, or at least by reference, all these assessments that we've done. So they'll just feed the bigger picture.
Ms. Gilio?
I just have a question for Mr. Smith. Given this information that we're provided with tonight and the time frame, is it possible that this work would be done during the summer?
Yes.
Like children are not in
absolutely.
school?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the contract with ARM Consulting, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Claffey.
Recommendation to award the facility master plan contract to Harriman in an amount not to exceed $303,000. Funding will come from R24-115 capital improvement projects, which was approved by the Board of Aldermen. Looking for a second.
Second, I'll do that, sorry.
Okay, comments or questions? Mr. Smith, do you want to just speak to this? I know we've reviewed it a lot, but we had some questions on the roof, so I figured just clarify.
Yes. So this, we've been trying to do this for quite a few years, was in our deferred maintenance list. And the city decided through its ad hoc committee, I believe, that we should move forward with the study, and they appropriated the funds as referenced earlier. We bid the work out. We had an RFP. It was on the street for a little over a month. We had 5 good firms provide proposals. 4 were local, if you include Boston as being local, which I do. The Boston firm, however, was very high. Then we had a firm from Florida that was a little on the low side. And then we had other 3 more local firms, Manchester, Harriman's in New Hampshire and Maine, and then other ones out of Cambridge, I believe. So we've done a lot of work with Harriman. We've worked with them since the mid-teens, Broad Street, Sunset Heights, all 3 middle schools, Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable. So they're very good people. They did a very similar study for us, on a smaller scale, back in the late teens when they did the study for the middle school project. You remember we had to decide whether or not we're going to renovate Elm Street or build new. And thanks to their efforts, we were able to determine that it was going to actually cost more to renovate than to build something new. So that they did a very thorough study. They're very good listeners. I think they'll do a great job for us. I had some trepidations with using a firm from Florida to do this. This is not just looking at the buildings and said, okay, the brick looks good and the boilers look good, and blah, blah, blah. But I intend for this firm to talk to you, to talk to the city officials at various levels, talk to the teachers, the principals, the staff, and get a sense for the culture. Part of that is knowing the politics in the region and the culture, so that's better done by a firm that's nearby. So that's kind of my pretty strong recommendation, was to go with Harriman.
Mr. Claffey?
I have 2 questions. I know I asked at least one of these last Tuesday. So Harriman will not recommend closing any schools. They're just going to provide us with information, but that decision ultimately rests with the school board and I guess the alderman.
Just us.
But just us. So the public they're not going to recommend any closures.
No.
And maybe if we can expect a report in 4 months, was that?
No, it's probably going to be about an 8-month period,
8 months.
towards the end of the year.
Okay, that's it.
Any other comments or questions? Ms. Daniels-Williams?
I was just, in the meeting, we were just thankful that this was the request that we had asked for last year at budget season, and it's just now coming up. So I'm glad to see that we are putting the funds that are appropriated to us to work, even though it was a year later. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
So I will probably be the only person who disagrees with this. I think Mr. Smith is perfectly capable of telling us what our buildings need. And speaking to Mr. Hoffman's point about spending money from the city, that to me feels a little bit redundant. To me, this feels a little bit redundant, but I recognize that I am in the minority here. But that's just me, and I'm allowed to have my own opinion.
I will say we did come in under budget. I think the Board of Aldermen did go ahead and tell us we had up
did.
to $325,000 to spend. And as the motion is, spending up to $303,000, I think Mr. Smith and I have worked with the company to see if there's any additional reductions as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the work that you guys have put into it. It's just, to me, it just seems like something that the people who've been in our buildings for the last 25 years would know without having to hire the other people who've been in our buildings for 25 years. Mr. Smith?
So part of this, certainly, I agree with you. I can go out and assess the buildings for us for a small stipend. But
Are you coming in with a bid, 180?
no, but this goes much beyond that. You're looking at the culture in the schools. You want to do educational assessments. They're going to come up with an educational plan for working with the principals for each school. And is the space that we have sufficient for education in 30 years? So, I mean, I can tell you how things look now. I use my own thoughts on what it should look like, but these people do this for a living. They design future buildings, so it's definitely the way to go.
Mr. Claffey?
I'm trying, how much did we pay the consultant from Missouri?
10,000.
And I'm trying to,
He came with deep discounts, I'm guessing.
you get what you pay for. Because I'm trying to go back a couple of years and reconstruct this timeline of how we got to the need for this. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but say 2 years ago when we voted to postpone a decision, this is a product of that vote? Is my memory?
We asked for this last year
Was it-
at the Alderman, when we were with the Alderman,
This was something that the city offered us in order to help guide whatever decisions we needed in regards to facilities and buildings. This was a way for us to kind of have on paper crystal ball for what we need as a district. And I think rightfully so, they bid it out and asked for pretty specific measures in what we were looking for, which came out of the conversations that we were having. When was the ad hoc meeting? That was back in
May?
August?
Oh, I thought it was.
No,
in
the ad hoc meetings with the city was when this was first brought up. This was not brought up this time last year.
It was
This
last
time
spring.
last year.
Yeah, I thought it was May. We're in May.
Yeah, and then.
Am I wrong that we didn't talk about this at budget in the Aldermanic Chamber, Mr. Smith? Am I wrong? I just want to stand corrected if I'm wrong, that we didn't talk about this there, because I think that there was a couple board members there in the room and we did talk about this.
I can't tell you I'm wrong. My recollection isn't, I don't even think I was at that budget meeting, so I don't know. But it's been in our deferred maintenance plan for a number of years. It's a happy coincidence that's now finally coming to fruition and can help us out in the future. But it's been on the list for quite some time.
Mr. Claffey?
I'm really curious about your comments. And if we weren't looking at the potential to have 70 losses,
Yeah.
would you support this?
Yes.
And so,
But I understand that this money is going back to the city. This is the deferred maintenance that they've given us, that they approved the $500,000 with a caveat that we spend up to $325 on this facilities assessment. So if we don't use it, it's just going to be rolled into other building projects that we need. But do I personally think there's a better way of using $300,000 right now than, I mean, it's just my opinion. I don't want to be swaying anybody. I have every hope that you all vote yes. I just have my own personal opinion.
As far as experience goes, how many years have you been on the board?
Well, it feels like a million.
Okay, I shouldn't,
But
I didn't ask you.
I think it's 5.5.
And,
So not
Miss-
that long.
I was going to say, you might be the most senior. Miss Gio, I'm not talking age, I'm talking,
Yeah, we were on.
Of course, you're not talking.
well, you
age.
told the whole world that you were the,
I am
You
the
did-
senior member. No, we were elected in the same election, so we've been here. It was 5 years in January, so we're heading toward our 6th year now.
this is my last year, but I really respect your opinion, and I think you weigh different interests. So I'm going to go along with you and vote no on this. And I'm glad you spoke up, because I understand that this audit, or whatever you call it, maybe we can do it internally. That's it. I'm voting no.
Okay. Ms. Daniels-Williams?
So I'm definitely gonna vote yes. I think that this is what we have been waiting a year for, what we have been expecting. This is part of the recommendation of the people that we have trusted to make this recommendation. Mr. Smith has stated that this has been on this plan and this agenda for years. It's something that the city deserves to have, that our community, our kids deserve to have. They're gonna assess the buildings and see what is going on.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're just kind of talking in circles now. We don't actually need to debate the answer. We just need to vote on it. So if we have no other comments or questions, I'd be looking for a vote. So are we all set? Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Smith. You too.
Nothing personal, Mr. Smith, just so you.
Yeah.
All right.
We have faith in your ability.
Sorry.
That's okay, go ahead, Mr. Claffey.
All right, I have to blow up the font despite
Me
my
too.
bottle glasses. Recommendation to transfer up to $42,305 from the 1,000 general fund school department benefit account. I have to read the number?
Yes.
Okay, 91.1.99232252300. Into Fund 3800 School Grants Fund for the purpose of funding extra benefits with the federal grant expenses.
Second.
And you guys had a lengthy discussion about this at the meeting. And it's just, I understand it. If I repeat it, it will probably sound like mumbo jumbo. So do you want to just give us a teeny taste of what you guys talked about?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this is actually cleanup from ESSER 3. That was roughly $48 million. So we're not even talking 1%. What basically happened is when we go ahead and budget the grants, there are positions put into the grants that we're budgeting. We usually take a snapshot in time of what are the benefits for those particular individuals. Now, if it's an employee that's here, it's usually really easy to budget that, to say, you know, Mr. Gray is going to take a family plan, or Susie Smith is going to be on a single individual plan. What ended up happening is, from a budgetary standpoint, they must have hired or had staff that actually elected benefits, or elected benefits that were not budgeted into the grant. So what we need to do is we basically need to transfer $42,305 out of the grant funds and roll it into the revenue account related to the grants. So again, it is cleanup related to ESSER 3. It's not even 1% in the language I come from. My audit days, it's not material, but it's over 10,000, so we're gonna share it, and I'm gonna be transparent as always. So again, it's related to the ESSER 3 cleanup.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did Mr. Claffey made the motion, did you and Ms. Lampier seconded it?
Yeah.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the transfer of up to 42,305 from the 1,000 general fund to the benefit account, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. It should be noted that Mr. Johnson stepped out at 6:40.
Can I just have a question around that? Like, so does that mean that this is ESSER all cleaned up and done? Because I know we no longer have those funds.
Yep, we are currently going through an audit related to the Department of Education. My fingers are crossed, there are no audit findings in there. We should have the report probably by next Finance and Operations meeting. But at this time, that should be the end of ESSER 3 and all the ESSER grant funding.
Mr. Claffey?
A recommendation to approve the contract with Teaching and Learning Alliance, Inc. of Woburn, Mass. for the development, facilitation, implementation, and monitoring of a 5-year strategic plan in an amount not to exceed $26,160 from account 91.1.01232053628.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you,
I'll
Ms.
second, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Lampier. Any comments or questions in regards to, do you want to speak to this a little bit?
Sure, I will. And Mr. Posca might jump in too. So there was a lot of questions around what this truly is. So this is a 5-year strategic plan. We did go ahead and put out an RFP. We had 19 responses to that RFP. Everything related to, or excuse me, a wide plethora of strategic plans did come in. This one being the lowest at $26,160. We did see some that were even $900,000, $1 million. So there was a wide range of those 19 strategic plans that came in. This is specifically related to professional services, and it really is developing, creating, implementing a 5-year strategic plan to really roll out some of those professional development services. Mr. Posca, want to say anything more?
Yes, I think, over the last 3 years, we've been working with a kind of an outdated strategic plan that not many of us had the opportunity to help create, and that we've done a lot of shifting during that time. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of get back on track and to develop a plan that's more representative of the direction we want to go in the next 5 years. TLA has previously done some professional development with us in other fields. This is another facet of this consultant firm who comes highly recommended. They're on a very tight, they've provided us a very tight timeline. So if this recommendation is approved, the planning for the strategic plan would start, later this month, with the goal of hoping to have the strategic plan created and in place by the start of the next school year.
Excellent. Ms. Lampier?
So the question I asked at the meeting that Mr. Ray wasn't really sure about was, like at the middle schools, they've had the heterogeneous teaching, and there's been some issues with like the push in and pull out method working smoothly and for the best for the students and the teachers. I didn't know if coming up with any ideas to make that run a little better would be part of the scope of this project or not.
I think it would be a big picture pre-K to 12 of how we're differentiating for all of our students. I think that has come back as an area that many of our staff are looking for additional support with. So not just specific to middle school, but again, pre-K to 12.
Okay, thank you.
Comments or questions? Okay. You guys will remember our strategic plan that we currently have was created back when Dr. Mosley was here, and it was in regards to social emotional learning. And I believe it was maybe one of the first votes that I was actually able to be a part of. I think it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
But I remember being it was one of the reasons I was really excited to join the board, was because I really liked the idea that we were molding whole children and not just kind of, study by study. And then obviously 3 weeks later, COVID hit and our strategic plan went not strategically. Okay, so,
I just have a question too.
yes, Dan. Ms. Daniels.
So this study, we'll put it out, they'll do it, and when it comes back, our plan is to implement it by the next school year. How about if we don't agree with their findings? Like, is there any wiggle room in that, or is it just hook, line, and sinker?
No. So what they do is they contract with these people to come in and help organize the strategic plan, which we're supposed to have according to the Department of Education. They're going to come in, they help support us. Oh, wow.
Just,
I know what Ms. Julia was thinking. They come in and they help put it together for us, and then there will be a presentation to us as a board in regards to what they found. We then vote on the strategic plan. So if you don't agree with it, then you vote no.
No, and I'm just saying, like, because it's only one assessment, it's not, you don't have a choice. You either choose yes or no. Like, there's no, we always talk about the balance and, doing everything in a way that seems transparent or whatever. It's either we pay this money, we get this assessment, and we use it because we paid for it, or we scrap it and we go out for another.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So approving this today says, okay, we take whatever they give us, whether.
No. They're coming in to work with us on creating one. So last time, I'll just review a little bit about the last time the strategic plan was done. It was a combination of board members and administration. And if you actually want to take a look at it, it's really interesting. It should be on the website still.
have it with me.
It was a chart about with, when we've hit points and how we're measuring them, what grades look like, what scores look like. It was a very comprehensive document. I don't think we're going to be as comprehensive, being on the board a little bit longer than that. Yes, that one. That may have been too detailed, and I think sometimes if we get in the weeds too much with stuff like that, we're set up to fail. So it's a general idea of what the district wants to move into. Mr. Claffey?
So looking at the motion, the first word is development. When I see this and heard about it, I see this as being a consulting service where they're with us for 5 years.
Right.
It isn't like a roof estimate where you're
No.
committed to something. It's a process.
Right.
And that's why the word development is there, facilitation is there. It's a partnership. It's not a, here you go, bye-bye.
Right.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to come in and tell us that all of our teachers have to be unicorns and we just have to figure out how that's going to happen. They're going to come in and work with us.
And when we say come in and work with us, we mean all of us, all of our community
Yes.
stakeholders. This is not just, it's central office, it's teachers, it's students, it's parents, it's community members, et cetera. So we get a kind of a whole big view of Nashua School District and what our strategic plan needs to entail over the next 5 years.
Ms. Gilio?
I'm involved with another school district in Massachusetts, and they're in year 3 of their current strategic plan. They hired a similar group to help them with it, and there are meetings ongoing throughout each step where they look at the goals, they look at the actions, and together they decide, does this still make sense? Do we need to change this? So it's very much a team effort, and the school district is very involved in it. So it's, it's worked out very well for them.
Ms. Daniels Williams?
So I'm glad to hear that that's what it will be. It would be interactive and that the parents and the community will be involved.
Okay, so any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the contract with Teaching and Learning Alliance for an amount not to exceed $26,160, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Finally, a recommendation to approve the FY25 February transfer report with no account numbers. Thank you.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Prin. Okay, comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the February transfer report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, this brings us up to Committee on Policy. Ms. Raymond is out and under the weather. We all wish her well. But Mr. Johnson is going to put on the chair hat and lead us in this discussion. So I'll hand the floor over to you, Mr. Johnson.
All right, we have a few second readings to go through. Recommendation to rescind policy BEDBR, agenda preparation and dissemination procedures.
Can I have a second? And then Mr. Johnson can just give us a little bit of,
I can make the second, I'm sorry. That's okay. Just pay attention.
do you want to speak a little bit to this, Mr. Johnson?
I would love to. Let me just get past all the finance.
Well, Mr. Posca, do you know what this is?
Got to go back into the recesses of my mind for this. Yes, this was an older policy that we had reviewed in the course of updating our policies. We have other policies that kind of address how we prepare our agendas going forward. So this is kind of redundant in many ways. So the recommendation was to rescind this based upon all the other policies in place that dictate what has to be in our agendas going forward.
Okay.
Couldn't have said it better.
Ms. Lampier?
I just have a question. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to answer it. In this BEDBR that we're rescinding, it actually says that the agenda for a special meeting should include a public question and comment period, which is something I've noticed we don't have right now at our special meetings. I don't know if that's something that we have anywhere else in our policies, that we should be having a public comment in special meetings. And I apologize for not finding this out myself or looking into it. I just looked at it earlier today and thought of this question.
Thank you for pointing that out, because we typically don't do a public comment during our special meetings unless we have people who want to speak, and then we vote on opening it up. Okay, yeah, I mean, well, with it being rescinded, it'll still be, I want to thank you for pointing that out so we can adopt that into future plans.
Yeah, to build off of that for that public question, or at least on the old one we're rescinding, was that all items that were up for public question and comment had to be on the agenda of that special meeting.
And to go to number 3, we normally vote on extending time limits for public comment too. So we've kind of been painting our own road right now. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of rescinding policy BEDBR, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Johnson, back to you.
Thank you. Recommendation to approve policy BEDD, our rules of order.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Claffey.
This is a pretty small one.
Yeah.
So this says, except as otherwise provided by law, by rules established by the State Board of Education, or by board policy meetings of the board shall be conducted in accordance with the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order, when appropriate and possible.
So Mr. Johnson made the motion. Did I get a second?
Claffey.
Mr. Claffey did, sorry. Any comments or questions about this? Seeing none, all those in favor of rescinding policy BE.
Oh, no.
No, it's approving.
Approving policy BEDD, say aye.
Aye.
We're not getting rid of Robert's Rules.
Well, what? It's not for a board conversation right now, but I'll tell you guys after. I was just watching something on TV and I was like, ooh, I wonder if they use Robert's rules. No, it's HBO. Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, recommendation to approve policy KD, school district social media websites.
Second.
Okay, do you want to, I know Cam came in and did a big presentation for you guys the first time this was brought up, so I'm sure we cannot condense that into just a couple of sentences for what this policy is, but maybe Mr. Posca, you can try.
Certainly. You know, when Mr. Dion came in and talked about all the work he's doing in his new role, we had not had an updated policy regarding social media websites. So Going through that, we worked, Mr. Dion and I worked to get something in place. This is the proposed policy that kind of provides some oversight for school district social media websites. So this is not currently a policy that we have, but based upon the direction that we're going and the advances that we're making, we feel it's important to have some type of, some policy in place to support the work that we're doing. When we had the first reading, talking about, definitions, et cetera, we just had to make some updates because some of these apps and profiles are changing so quickly. So it's kind of just more of a generalization about what could be out there and what needs to be monitored. So I think this it does dovetail nicely with the work and the direction that we're going. So I hope we can approve this new policy to support and what's in place.
Fantastic.
It also
Mr.
goes with the
Johnson?
understanding that this will be a policy that we have to look at regularly because social media is constantly changing. So therefore, this is something that we'll probably see come up again and again as the next thing comes along.
Yeah, I would expect Mr. Dion to be living within this policy and knowing that as things change, to bring it back to the board so that he has, or that role has the proper support that it needs. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy KD, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Keep on going. Recommendation to approve policy KDR1, school district social media websites regulations. This just builds off of what we, for KDR.
Second.
Oh, Mr. Claffey. Okay, comments or questions? Actually, sorry, we don't need an explanation of this. This is just the guidelines.
Correct.
Yeah, this is the guidelines for websites where we had social media.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Bless you. Comments or questions? Seeing,
Are these the first readings to these? Because these are proposed. The last two were proposed. So we usually,
This is the second, second reading of them. These are both new policies that we're bringing forward. We don't currently have these policies in our handbook.
okay. Thank you for the clarification.
okay. So seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of approving policy KD-R1, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I believe we're getting there. Okay. Recommendation to rescind policy JJB-R, student extracurricular activity eligibility, behavioral expectations, procedures.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Claffey.
Bless you.
There's something going around this room right now, huh? Okay.
So this one is basically, yeah, we're rescinding it. This was, I believe this is elsewhere, Mr. Pasca, is that why?
Yes, I think this is an older policy, and I think currently it's not the direction in which we follow. If there is concern, it starts with the building principal. If there is concerns at that level and there are any appeals, it goes forward, usually the assistant superintendent's office. So kind of an older form that wasn't really, didn't accurately portray the policy and the procedures that we're currently following. So I think it was an opportunity to, as we try to review all our policies, to clean this up and to make the recommendation to rescind this at this time.
Mr. Claffey?
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the policy that the student's supposed to appeal to somebody that doesn't exist anymore. Is this the one?
Bingo.
There you go.
They just wander the halls looking for somebody.
Remember?
All right, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of rescinding policy JJJB-R, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's it for policy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. You were able to step into some big shoes there, huh? Okay, so Committee on Curriculum and Evaluation, you guys didn't meet? Okay, do you have a meeting coming up next month?
April 14th, I think.
Okay,
I think.
Perfect. Good for you, getting a month off.
We had a budget meeting instead, remember?
A what?
No,
A what?
we got bumped for something else.
Right, it's coming back to
It
me now.
wasn't off.
No, no, you graciously stepped aside so we could discuss other things. Okay, so now I'll hand the floor over to Ms. Gilio for Committee on Human Resources.
Okay, I'm making a recommendation to suspend the rules to consider items from the HR meeting held earlier this evening.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Earlier this evening, we approved the recommendations of the personnel recommendations of March 24th, 2025, which included eight people. Some were nominated to continue in roles. We had 1 resignation and 3 retirements, and we unanimously approved that and bringing it forward to this body to approve it as well.
Yes. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of approving the personnel recommendations from March 24th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And finally, I make the motion to elect Jeffrey Arbogast to the position of Principal of Fairgrounds Middle School at an annual salary of $108,800. We approved this also earlier this evening unanimously.
Fantastic. Yes, it was nice to see him here. We obviously sent him home because I'm sure he has much better things to do than watch our board meeting. But yes, we're very excited to have him. He sounds like a great guy. He's been with our district for a very long time. And to highlight what Ms. Daniels-Williams said during the meeting, it's always nice to see our internal hires kind of working their way up the ladder. And they probably know the system better than most. So we appreciate them sticking with our district and heading on up. So all those in favor of approving the administration recommendation of March 24th? Oh, I'm sorry.
Did we get a second?
I made the motion.
Julio.
I'm sorry.
I'll second, just in case we didn't.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
Thank you. So Ms. Gilio, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments or questions? I'll just do that again.
Ms. Bishop, if I could just jump in.
Sorry.
To echo kind of, what the board has said along with some of the comments that Mr. Hoffman made earlier, we're really pleased to have Mr. Arbogast come on board to be the next principal at Fairgrounds Middle School. As we said before, he's got some big shoes to fill in replacing Sharon Coffeys, who's been with us for 47 years. But we have full confidence in Jeff and the job he's doing, and I know the staff at Fairgrounds is fully supportive of him too. So we're happy to have Jeff on board, and we're looking for a seamless transition.
Fantastic. Mr. Johnson?
One thing that Mr. Arbogast commented on when he was talking to us, Human Resources, which I thought was a strong thing, was establishing more of a PTO at Fairgrounds Middle School, and being someone who came up through the PTO at New Searles, it was exciting to hear that he planned to look at it, and to look at it even as PTOs based on each grade. So that sort of picks up from the elementary school PTO and keeps it going and can do a lot for the school. So that's good to hear.
Yes. Ms. Daniels-Williams?
Just a follow-up to that, and Mr. Johnson, reminding everybody what Mr. Baus said about we have 62 open positions, and our next job fair is April 1st here at North. So he said it was April Fool's Day, but it is not a joke.
It's from 3 to 6 here on April 1st.
Fantastic. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the administrative recommendation from March 24th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and we welcome Mr. Arbogast.
Yep, and that concludes HR's meeting tonight.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we have no unfinished business, which is nice. We do have some new business, so I will hand the floor over to Mr. Pasca.
Sure. One of our new piece of business is a recommendation to approve the Bridging the Gap in the 603 Grant Award from the New Hampshire Department of Education for Mount Pleasant Elementary School in the amount of $60,000, $30,000 each year for 2 years. As a ATSI school, Ms. Okonik had applied for this grant to get some additional literacy support for the school. She was successful in her bid. What this means going forward is the school will have access to a literacy coach from the state, along with getting all sorts of letters training for the Mount Pleasant staff. She has a unique plan in place to how the reading coach is going to support a lot of this. So it's providing a lot of additional support in place to support literacy across the grade levels at her school. We're very fortunate that we were able to receive this grant, and I know Ms. Okenick and the staff are excited about kind of the next steps moving forward with this grant. So I hope we can move forward with this, receiving this grant, so we can get the work in place.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'll make the motion to approve the Bridging the Gap 603 grant awarded from the New Hampshire Department of Education for Mount Pleasant Elementary School in the amount of $60,000 or $30,000 each year for 2 years.
Second.
Oh, who's going to take it?
I want to second it.
Ms. Lampier, that's up for you to decide.
I'm going to go with Ms. Gilio, just based on seniority.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the grant award, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Pasca, back to
Yes,
you.
recommendation to approve the option for the 25-26 school year. The recommendation is, I think, as you look at the calendar, currently recommending that over the holiday break, it would be 2 weeks that we'd have off. The thought process was attendance on particularly that Monday and Tuesday would probably be quite low. In addition, it would probably save a little bit of money by not having to heat the buildings for those full 2 weeks. So that was the recommendation for that calendar. Again, going in with eyes wide open, that does present some, as we get into June, in possible snow days. Currently, with no snow days, we'd be getting on June 17th. If we get one snow day, we're getting off the 18th, but if we got 2 snow days, we'd be going into the following week because that Friday is a holiday.
Yep.
So understanding we would be kind of, depending on the snow days, we could be into the last week of June for school. So the recommendation at this time is to have that full 2 weeks off, but we'd certainly be open to having some discussion about that if necessary.
Let's have discussion first, and then we'll jump into a motion. Ms. Gilio?
Just having been in education for many years, I think I'm in favor of option A, where we do have the 2 full weeks off. Because as you said, just before a vacation and then at the end of it, we often have poor attendance. Secondly, at that time of year, there are all kinds of things like flus and colds and all sort of things going around. And I think it would probably be helpful and healthy to have the schools closed for 2 full weeks in between. So that's just that's how I feel about it.
Ms. Daniels-Williams?
And I had the opportunity to look at it, and I think that the 2 weeks off is a good idea, except for the fact of how it pushes it out in the year. The holiday being Juneteenth Day on June 19th, just pushing it all the way to there and then possibly into the next week, because we generally have at least 2 snowstorms. So just thinking about that, and having 2 weeks off for the parents might be a burden, having them all at one time. Yes, everyone goes to vacation and, everything during that holiday season, but I just wanted to be mindful of the days. But as stated before, I will go with whatever the board, it's a 2-day difference, but that's my piece, reminding everyone of the burden that's gonna put on the family to find childcare for that 2 weeks. And they're still possibly could take the 2 days off before that and the 2 days off after that if they're going away for the holiday season. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yeah, that was my concern as well, is the child care piece for the 2 weeks in December. However, in my house, I was overruled and told that was stupid and we should have 2 weeks off for the holiday, because don't we just love kids? So I got outvoted in my house. I was thinking about the late start in June, or the late end in June, but remembering the $700 a week in summer camp that I had to pay for the 2 kids that didn't even start up until the last week in June. I appreciate the later end for, there's no camp during that week. Ms. Gilio?
I just also wanted to add, I think it was after I retired from Chelmsford, but when I was working probably at Ledge Street, we had a particularly snowy winter. And we were going almost to the end of June. And we did make an accommodation to add a certain amount of time onto each day so that we could get out a little earlier than the,
remember that.
whatever it was, June 29th or June 30th. I mean, it was very late. So if we have horrible weather next winter, there are avenues we can pursue.
Yep, I remember that. Mr. Claffey?
Just to prolong a discussion that we really should have taken 30 seconds. I don't think Labor Day can be any earlier than it is this year, September 1st.
Yes.
So having students go 2 extra days, to me, it's still relatively early compared to past years.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, we're gonna have a couple snow days, but I just think this would be a time to do it because poor teachers have to be here August 26th. I mean,
Yeah.
give them 2 weeks, plan it.
Oh,
You'll have your chance, I believe. Thank you. I'm voting yes on option, whatever.
A, yeah. Ms. Daniels-Williams?
So that too goes into consideration for the teachers, is that it's 2 weeks off with pay if they had to use their time for other things like their own family and things. But I mean, to Mr. Claffey's point, we could take away like the April vacation or whatever and do things like that.
I don't think that's what you said.
I did not say that.
You said that we can,
I just said Labor Day is really early this year. So students we're gonna end the school year earlier than a typical year. Please don't, I did not say to get rid of April vacation.
I don't know, I heard it too.
I mean, as an adjustment for the days.
I did not hear that.
I'm kidding, I didn't hear it, I was just teasing. Everybody email Mr. Claffey. Okay, any other thoughts from you guys? Do you have any other
Nope, I
information
think
you want to
you've
share?
broken it down very well.
Okay, guys, seeing no other
Oh,
comments or questions?
is there a motion yet?
There isn't, I was gonna make the motion, so I would make the motion to approve let me get down, scroll down to it again. Approve the option presented today for the 2025-2026 school year calendar.
It's option A.
You have to say which one.
There are
Oh,
two.
A, sorry. Option A.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilio. Mr. Claffey, did you just want a
I was
second?
voting.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Wow, these kids are gonna be so happy.
Well, their parents are
Stir
gonna
crazy. My
know.
kids just stay home. We can't go do anything.
2 days difference, but it matters really.
It makes a huge difference in their holiday.
And included with the extra 2 days.
And Mr. Posca's point about money, I mean, I don't know what the dollar amount's gonna be, but heating the school for 2 days isn't the most fiscally wise decision. No.
Okay. Liaison reports, we had Ed Council. Mr. Johnson, do you want to speak a little bit to what we chatted about? Throw you
Sure.
on the spot again.
Yeah, we had discussions, a lot of it was, a lot of it was budget-based, the concerns of cuts we would have to make and, the concerns of the teachers on that. We also had good discussions about cell phone usage and how it is being disruptive in classrooms, and that's something we need to look at as a board and look at as in policy and make a decision on what we're gonna do with that. And Gary Hoffman did another survey with the middle schools. We're still seeing a lot of the same results there with the homogeneous teaching in classrooms and the push-ins and the issues teachers are having with that. And that's something we should also probably be taking a look at before the school year starts up for 25-26.
Yep. Okay. Comments or Ms. Lampier?
I was just wondering about which schools are saying that the cell phone use is disruptive. Because we had a presentation, I don't know, like maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, from the middle school teachers. So I wasn't sure if that was where they're seeing the issues.
From the people who were at the Ed Council, it's seeing it across the board. I don't think there was any, obviously it's a little more prevalent at the high school level, but even at the middle school level, they're having issues with cell phone usage that is being very disruptive in classes. And so it's definitely a concern of teachers and something they're seeing more of. They're seeing more kids that are sort of even honor level classes are seeing more kids spending time on their phones instead of paying attention in class. So it is a big concern of the teachers. And so it's something we need to revisit and take a look at.
Okay. I believe that is it for liaison reports, right? Anybody else? Nothing else?
A question?
Go ahead, Ms. Lampier.
I was just wondering if I know that some of the teachers aren't happy about the push-in, pull-out and the homogeneous learning. And I know that's been ongoing all year. I didn't know if there was any way that the administration had been addressing it or any changes that might be coming down the pike or any like updates for us or anything like that from the administration?
Ms. Daniels-Williams is working with the teachers union in regards to creating a report that's going to outline the things that are going well, the concerns. You guys are going to work on that over April vacation, right? Okay. So
But
they're
we
going
haven't met on it since the summer. So we now just have this report that was handed to me today, and 74% of the push-in model for special education. There's a whole report that should be available to the public.
So that's the internal survey that Mr. Hoffman has been doing with the teachers. That's what you're reviewing. And then when you guys meet and make the report, because you wanted to be on the committee that was evaluating this, you guys will create that report and put it together and then present it to Ed Council. And if there are people who disagree with what the outcomes are, we write another report or you write another report, or we'll have to go over the specifics of it, but then we'll present it to the board. Ms. Gilio?
Is there a way that the rest of us could get a copy of that? Is it already on the website somewhere?
It's an internal document. Mr. Hoffman, do you mind coming up and speaking to it? Because I'm sure you know it 100% more than I do.
Yeah, thank you. So as you remember last year in May, because were making some major changes to the middle schools, Ed Council had voted unanimously to study it. And so the study, we've done 3 sets of surveys, and we may go and try to talk to some teachers. I was going to recommend to Ms. Daniels-Williams, I had sent you an email on your .edu if we want to go and talk to some teachers about it. And so what we'll do is we'll render a report based on the data we've collected. We'll then, at the May Ed Council, present that report, and as Ms. Bishop had mentioned, if there's a minority of the participants in Ed Council who disagree with the findings of the report, they can actually make a minority report and present that as well. However, regardless, a report will be issued to the school board at your last meeting of this school year, and that will be a document for all of you to see. But this information is not a secret, and if you would like to see any of that, I'd be more than happy to share that with you. Just email me, nashuatu@nashuatu.org.
I will send you an email.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Okay, so that is it. We are up to our second public comment. Ms. Prin. Mr. Johnson, are you so happy not to be getting your steps in?
No, yeah, it was good exercise.
That's good exercise.
And Ms. Pring gets to show off her wonderful
I know, you always
Doc
have such
Martens, which
awesome,
are
awesome outfits and
breathtaking.
accessories. We'll play music next time. Sachet? Okay, Gary Hoffman, come on down. I really wish this was The Price is Right. That would be a lot more fun.
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street, Townhouse D, Nashua, New Hampshire. So before I just talk about what I was going to speak about, just Ms. Lampier's point and Ed Council. When we did discuss cell phones, one thing that was brought up is that Pennachuck Middle School and Fairgrounds Middle School have pretty good cell phone policies, and they're actually not an issue there. And, you know, first week or two of school, you know, they had to, you know, kind of enforce the rules. But then after that, the kids got used to it. And then, you know, I found that, you know, Fairgrounds has always kind of had a policy. The kids get used to it and they accept it and they tend to like it, believe it or not. So we already have some schools doing it. And so the idea is just to export those. You know, the state's passing a law, so we're going to have to do something anyway. And we're working with Mr. Posca and the Discipline Task Force to create something for the sport. And I look forward to that. Just something for your notes. You didn't have the April 10th para-negotiation session on there. It's going to be at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if April 10th is. That was canceled. Yeah, I believe Mr. Clausen couldn't make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was
Next one is April 10th.
April 10th, yeah. 10 a.m., yeah, that's what I had. Well, I can pull out my phone, but some of you probably have it quicker. Might be a Thursday.
Yep, it's Thursday, April 10th at 10 a.m. I think the superintendent's secretaries were supposed to cancel the calendar invite and redo them. So I'll follow up on that tomorrow for
Yeah,
everybody.
it had TBD on the agenda for today.
Yeah, so it'll be later on, but that is that. Regarding the calendar, the Nashua Teachers Union and our contract, we're allowed to provide feedback to the district. And the only feedback that we did make is, you know, 2 weeks for winter break is fine for the teachers because we're salary, but our hourly employees, it's 2 weeks without pay. So that was one feedback. We just wanted that you guys to consider. It's a long time without any money. So that was that. Third. When I was talking earlier about the budget and the $1.2 million of appropriations tonight, I guess I didn't explain that as well as I probably should have. If you go back to past budget seasons, going back to the Mark Conrad days, one of the things that the school board and the district did is, you know, the spending cap back in those days was very, very, very tightly adhered to. But one deal that was made with Mayor Lozo is they would pick a number to give back to the city in tax relief, but Mayor Lozo would up the allowable increase. And so that sort of conversation was one thing that was done in the past. And it might be something that you can talk to Mayor Donchis about. You know, the idea, you know, we're really not concerned about a percentage increase per se. We're concerned mostly about taxes. And if there's a way to lower the tax rate and get a higher allowable increase, you know, those conversations happened in the past with Donnelly Lozo and Mark Conrad. Perhaps it's something that, you know, this board and the superintendent could look at. It's an idea. It's free advice. You know what they say about free advice. So last thing, I was on March 15th, I was as shocked as anyone when I saw a 22% increase in the bus contract. Even Anthem Insurance doesn't do increases that high. I think 13% was the highest I had ever seen. It's pretty shameless, quite frankly. They know that their customers are mostly municipalities, can only really increase taxes 2 to 4%, you know, at most before, you know, people are going to have a big issue with that. I imagine we weren't the only community that got a pretty high bus bill, at least, you know, and I would investigate price gouging perhaps with the state or even and talk to some of the other local cities and towns. It's just not right to give an increase of that much in 1 year, especially considering the customers are towns and cities who can't increase their taxes, you know, more than 2 to 4% a year, really. So I would investigate that. I think we should get some money back from them.
I actually think Mr. Gray can speak to that. I know some emails went back and forth, and forgive me if it wasn't to you, Mr. Hoffman, but in regards to the outlines of what the bus contract is, but Mr. Gray?
Sure. We'll cover some additional information on Monday evening as well, but I think it's pretty important to know So we did go out for an RFP related to the bus contract. Unfortunately or fortunately, I guess it depends how you look at it, we did receive one bid back from First Student. If we look at other districts around us, and again, I'll share the document next week, we actually, for next year, are still going to be lower than our surrounding districts that currently utilize First Student. What we are hearing and what I'm seeing from the financial lens is the biggest reason for the increase is we had a contract with First Student prior to COVID. So I think we'll see on Monday evening, there's some proposals in there for us to go ahead and hopefully reduce some of the buses that are currently on the roads. That means making our routes more effective and efficient. But if we go ahead and look at some of the districts that are around us, Londonderry, I think, is a little bit of an outlier. I'll kind of point that out next Monday too. They actually have a 10-year contract. And this is 5 years into their 10-year contract. So they're just under $400 per bus. If we look at Litchfield, Derry, Timberland, and Chester, they all use First Student, and that ranges anywhere from $486.71 per bus per day, all the way up to $573. So, and it's not 22% each year for the next 5 years. We are seeing it kind of trickle down. I'm trying to negotiate some stuff on our side to see if there's any wiggle room, because it absolutely is a sticker shock to a lot of folks, for sure. So we'll get into the specifics around transportation more on Monday. And if there's more that we want to discuss, I'd be happy to kind of go through that too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, understanding that increase is going to be, we're going to need to wrap our heads around it. Okay, so next up, thank you for letting us jump off topic. Miles Robinson.
Do I need to stoop or does this work?
I think if it's not picking you up,
Or is
Dylan
it
will
recording?
holler at us.
Hi, I'm Miles Robinson, 8 Layton Street. I'm here to discuss advocate for Mount Pleasant. My wife and I and my 4 kids moved into the area this summer after extremely long deliberation of where we're going to move to find the best education that we can for our kids. We settled on the area because of the reputation of the neighborhoods, because of the tight-knit communities. We upended from Virginia all the way here, and we paid an extremely more amount for our house to get into Mount Pleasant. And then we heard of the closing conversation, and it's quite jarring. And being a father of 4, 3 of them are at Mount Pleasant, one's in Pennachuck. I feel that it is quite short-sighted to close the school without something very clearly in place to handle what's going to happen to the community. I understand that the building might be old and it might need a lot of money. It might need to be torn down and rebuilt. But cramming these kids and upending all of this community into the schools that we would have to commute to would be detrimental. We saw it in Virginia, and all over the state happened, building up these temporary buildings around these schools to handle the very large classrooms. What we have at Mount Pleasant, I'm on the PTO because I care, and what I see here is this school wins because it is small. We can advocate very easily for who is in our community because we know our community. We can walk, we are active, we advocate, we provide. Very successfully, I say. If we were to disband this school, we would have to be going further. We'd have to start driving. The bus costs would go up. And we don't have a plan in place to take care of all these kids that would have to be forced into these schools. And so I am advocating for Mount Pleasant to stay in place and to stay open as long as possible. And if this conversation gets too close and to closing, that I want plans in place to make sure that my special ed student is taken care of and that these sizes of these classes are addressed. That is my concern as a parent.
Thank you.
Thank
Alex Homola.
Thanks, Miles. Alex Hamola, 6 Ayer Street. Just wanted to go back a little. Mr. Preston Smith charged $47,985 for his consultation. The starting salary for a teacher with a bachelor's degree in Nashua is $44,200. That is right on the BOE page under middle school redistricting. If you scroll down, you'll see his numbers. Also, can we put Juneteenth on the calendar as a holiday for the next year, please?
It is.
It is
It's a
listed as a
federal holiday.
makeup right now, so it doesn't look like it when you're voting on the calendar. It just, if you're not thinking of it, you kind of forget it, and we know it's there, but yeah,
I understand that. No, it's a federal holiday, so we do it.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody, for public comment. This brings us up to our board member comments, right? Yep. We'll start over there with you, Ms. Prin. We'll go around the circle.
No comment.
Thank you. Mr. Claffey?
This is not the time for levity, I know. However, I cope by trying to laugh. So if you're watching and you're mad about what's happening here, I understand that. And I just wanted to say that I was disappointed to see Dr. Andre wasn't here because I really wanted to mention his alma mater's loss in the NCAA tournament. So if you're watching, Dr. Andre, you won 2 in a row. Be happy with what you have.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
No comment.
Ms. Gilio?
No comment. I think I've said enough tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Daniels-Williams?
I'm gonna go with no comment.
Okay. Ms. Lampier?
So I ran into some intensive needs teachers this week, and they work at Nashua South, and you guys all know about how I feel about intensive needs. And I got to talk to them a little bit about what they do for the students in their classes and how long they actually have these kids for. A lot of them don't leave the district until they turn 22, so they're in the high school for 8 years. And I talked to them a little bit about what they do for transitions and how to get the kids out in the community and stuff. And they did say that when they have people, when they have enough paras, they're able to take them, out of the school district, which is what we want to see for these kids especially. They talked a little bit about their the coffee cart where they sell coffee and make their own money, so then they get to decide what they want to do. And it made me realize that we've seen a lot of presentations from a lot of the different departments, but I would really love to see a presentation from the intensive needs department, and I was hoping that we could maybe do that by the end of the school year, because this is something that I know a little bit about, but I don't know, and probably you guys know a little bit about, because you talk about it all the time, but a lot of people in the community might not know what goes on in this kind of a program and why it's so important to have it. One of the things that I think about a lot this year, especially when we talk about the budget and our expenses, we're legally obligated to provide ELL services. We're legally obligated to provide special education services. But I mean, what if something happens where we're not legally provided to provide those services? I mean, are we still going to do it? It's important, and these are kids, just like every other kid. So I just always want to be conscious of that. So thank you.
Thank you. That would actually be really cool to see, that presentation. I'll put it on the agenda one day.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. Okay, and I have no comments. I think we've had a lot of good discussion here tonight. I'm, again, very grateful for our board and how we can work together. And even when we don't agree on things, I think we have respectful and productive conversations, and I really appreciate that about us. So that's what I want to say. And without anything else on the agenda to review,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
thank you, Ms. Gilio. Thank you, Ms. Daniels-Williams. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned at 7:36.